ahead and type that into the chat real quick. And let's go ahead and say if you want to keep up with everything that's going on at DTI, make sure you follow along dtitrader.com/telegram. And of course, we encourage everybody to join us on the YouTube site. If for any reason you can't get to your Zoom channel, you can go to dtitrader.com/YouTube. Go ahead and click that live button when we have a live presentation and click the little subscribe button to let us know that you want to know when we're going on next. And if you like what you're hearing here, go ahead and give us a big thumbs up. It's been a great morning here. Uh, I saw what Tom was doing, and man, he was having a lot of fun echoing. So, Robert, it shouldn't be echoing. If you're getting an echo, you might be logged in more than once. So that would be the thing that I would look at. Let me just go down and Uh, yeah, so that's a possibility. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the presentation today. There is a very high degree of risk involved in trading. You and you alone are going to be responsible for the decisions you make. Make sure you make them responsibly. Remember that risk is always a factor in considering how we approach trades. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Crude futures. I got to update this real quick. Crude opened at 82.70, went up to 83.03. They've had a high of 80.09. Or excuse me, low of 80.09. And FTD levels, well, we're above that 78.25 quarter. So 78.20 quarter market is pushed above that level. We're actually back down at 78.15, but the market did run up to 78.38.50 this morning. News Iran, kind of a constant. Core PPI came out this morning, 4.2% versus 4.2% expected. It was expected to come down. It did. We got what we expected, and apparently the market likes that. So, Tom, in your opinion, we've been waiting to break this 78.20 quarter for a while, and it's broken. What do you feel about that?
Just a sec, Chuck. Let me reset my roadmap there. Okay. Well, first of all, if you were following what I was saying early on, I said the market is inching higher, and I think we're going to see the 78.20. And we'll go live, and I'll show you a couple things you could have done earlier, depending on when you got up. But I think the market has set a new high. The key for the market today, as far as I'm concerned, is that I'll be watching Nvidia. Nvidia at 225.55 became a buy, and it went up like I said, it topped out today at let me get it here. Nvidia topped out at
227.23.
yeah, it topped out at 227.23, and that's what I'm looking for another leg up if we go up. Obviously, the 78.20 was a big number we had to take out. We've done it now. That throws the market into a buy as a new high today. And so, but anytime a market makes a new high, they'll pull it back and test it. It doesn't go straight up. But that's a very positive sign for the month of August for us to see that. Secondly, I think that, and one thing I'll show you, but if you have a market that goes through news. It never sold off. It stayed above the pivot number. It got stronger, stronger, and stronger after the news at 8:30. If you have a market like that, and you can't trade, you can't trade the SPY, so to speak, right? Uh, you can't trade that, but what you can do is trade the mini, and a good e-mini trade prior to the opening this morning on the e-mini was buy a Delta 50 option on it, and you would have had a very nice morning on the e-mini today, without buying the e-mini itself. Now, if you look right here, our weekend side hustle, you know, day is Thursday. It actually filled at our profit zone this morning. Uh, we talk about this as the last trade we do every week. We'll do it again this week, the weekend side hustle, and we'll do that Friday at the close. But it's a great trade, nothing complicated. You go in and do it, and we use it in a tax preferred ticker XSP, and I think people that are in it love it, and people that are not in it procrastinate. They ought to get in it. It adds money to your account. So the weekend side hustle hit another one today. I'm happy about that on that rally.
Yeah, and Tom, the XSP trade that you did with the weekend side hustle, and then you go to trade to win advanced live trading Nvidia. Nice move there. What you didn't mention out of your Magic Five, you also had TQQ, and I want to get the exact number on this. TQQ on the Magic Five, 75.55. This morning's high on TQQ, 77.71.
Yeah, I've
So
got a
pretty
little
solid
trade I
there.
do there that I've taught people. It's called it's called a day trade. If you take my Magic Five number, which was 75.55, you go long, you risk $1 and make $1. That's sort of the deal, and I'm gonna be pretty accurate when it sets up like it did today. So that's a nice dollar to throw in your account. You have to do the stock, and the trade goes up, peaks out. The problem with doing options, typically when it moves early like that, it will pull back unless you have a long enough date on the option. I would probably wouldn't do options personally.
All right. Well, let's see. Last night, Tom, midweek market update, slides and recording available here. And for those of you following along at home, that is on slide number 7, the update to the, midweek market update. And we'll come down uh, this week, past 5 train and trade sessions for those of you who've been around. Last week, new additions to the FTD algo sheet, and we'll talk about that FTD sheet. I saw a question come up about it a little bit earlier. We'll get into that in just a few minutes. Now, on Friday of last week, FTD long stocks. Monday of this week, basics of the Cadillac trade. Tuesday, bracket orders, talking about how to place trades. That was fun going through with the class, getting them used to the platforms. It's always good to get a little education in. So you got a little bit of that in train and trade, and a little bit more for those of you who were live in Ponte Vedra, Florida. It was a great time there. Tom had a blast. And then yesterday, Tom did 5 questions about hedging. I need to go back and review that because I was on the road yesterday, so I missed it. So I'm going to remember that slide number 8 of today's presentation has the past 5 trade sessions. When you have time, you can review the slides and recording from this page. So August FTD stocks. Let's go ahead and look at this. Now, the first point I want to make is if you come in, you'll notice it tells us when it was updated. So pay attention to that time. Now, what that refers to is the current price. Someone mentioned NVIDIA not showing the price that it was. Well, check that update time because that's going to affect the current price. Now, the FTD prices, they're set until next month, so we're good to go there. And let's go through, look at the VIX coming down negative 30% there, Tom. That's looking better and better every time I look up there at it. And we've got the NQ Nasdaq still posting long. Now the ES did go above 78.20 quarter. We talked about that. Went up to 78.38.50. Back down at 78.17, 78.14.50 now. So you're getting a little bit of a retracement there, but that did go up. The Dow, that is weird for me to say in the third quarter, Tom. The Dow is lagging because it's probably the best performer of the third quarter, although the S&P is giving it a run. But yeah, a little bit lagging right now in August. Crude staying low, 81.58, 81.89. They made it down to 80.09 earlier today, but that FTD mid at 78.29. So they got a little bit more work to do to get to the bottom of the FTD. Gold and silver, I know you're loving this part, Tom. Uh, these still have that green flag, still looking strong. And as we come down through the list, a couple ETFs running in here.
Hey,
We've
real
got,
quick on gold,
yeah.
what was the 3-day high?
Let's see, we'll go back and look at, you want to do gold futures or do you want to do GLD?
Gold futures.
All right, gold futures, 3-day high, 4328.2.
All right, and what was the monthly open?
Open of August, 4135.2.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it
write
was
that
solid.
down.
Solid.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, that was
So
42.25 roughly, 42.28 or something. Was the 3-day high?
the 3-day high, 4328.2.
Yeah, 43.28. Okay. 43.28. Okay, and we're trading on gold futures right now. 44.26. Okay, still in the zone, so to speak. Okay,
Yeah,
keep
and
going.
for those of you who track along with GLD or GDX, GLD 3-day high 391.51, currently at 400.89. Open the month at 370.1. So different numbers, but same message here, and that is, another way to go at gold. If you don't really get into futures, you can look that way. All right, Apple. Not really the apple of our eye right now. Down below the FTD mid, 304.16, FTD mid, 306.56, still above the FTD low, though, at 301.32. Airbnb, well, that one has been soaring, but it stayed around that 500% up. So pretty much leveling out at this point. Let's come down, look for some of these other green flags. We've got ARM AVAV. I know, taking a look at that one the other day, Tom. AVAV, 189.71 currently. That August open 151.22. FTD high 176.21. So solid there. Broadcom is playing with that FTD high at 427. We'll see how that plays out. And let's see, we got CoreWeave. Keep coming down the list. It's in alphabetical order now, so I have trouble finding my sectors here. But here's Intel at 106.74.
Yeah,
When
Intel's broken out. Remember, I've been talking about Intel above 103.5. It's finally done it. That means it's back into play, and so we got to be paying attention to Intel out there because I think Intel is obviously in play. They had the announcement that sort of short circuited the rally before the sell off that we had just recently down to 96, 97. And now they've absorbed that. The market's absorbed it, said that's okay if they raise money. So I thought that was an interesting take. It didn't take many days to get back in play, so to speak. Okay. Intel.
Yeah, and I got two stocks worth looking at here. This is J&J, and just beneath it is Lilly. And did we talk enough about Lilly the Monday and Tuesday, Tom?
Well, yeah, Laura really loved, she's in the class, she's talking about Lily. I think it's right down her alley. And, but, it's a great stock. We got in and now we're, adding to it as we go along. And it looks like it's headed to 1,500, I think. Okay. Heard a guy on TV today. He's a little bit optimistic, more optimistic than me. He said Lily's going to 2,000. I said, okay, well, I'll take the 1,500 this year.
Well, hey, listen, Tom, when it gets to 1,500, just raise your stop. Let the market make the decision.
There you go. That's a smart play, Chuck. Good advice.
All right, so let's go down. Nvidia showing up a bit. We're at 224.72, above the 222.22. Let's see, what else have we got here? SpaceX. Oh, this one has been fun. 141.45 right now. They were up higher than that earlier this morning. SpaceX, well, they made it up to 145.05. The 3 day high, Tom, was 126.71. How about SpaceX? Everybody writing it off, and then all of a sudden, here you go.
Well, I think I told a story yesterday about I've been sort of against electric vehicles, and my son's been pushing me to go drive one of these Teslas because of their automatic driving. I drove it, and I said, "Man, this technology is something else." So I came back and bought some SpaceX just on the drive of the Tesla. I said, "Anybody can come up with this kind of stuff, I'm going to invest with," and so I got a little bit more SpaceX. So I thought it
Now,
was interesting how it swayed me to go do it.
I remember you telling that story on Tuesday, the second day of the class. Here's
Yeah.
a question I got for you. Was that a test drive or a test ride?
I don't know what the difference is. It was
Were you operating the car or just telling
no
the car where to go?
the software was doing everything. I never touched the wheel. I just put in the
Yeah.
location where I wanted to go.
I'm just
So the
saying
wheel
we need another name for test drive when you're talking about a Tesla,
yeah,
apparently.
no kidding.
All right, so let's go ahead and get back into our slides, and we're going to welcome Jonathan back at a point here. He'll be taking over the slides in just a moment. But that gold air pocket, and Tom, can you give us a minute about how to turn lemons into lemonade?
Yeah, one of the things that you're going to find trading gold, and I tell people all along that gold, when it gets into a bull run like it's in right now, it has air pockets. Well, if you use gold futures, gold options, or gold, anything gold, all of a sudden it just falls out of bed and it looks like it's the worst day of all time. But you got to keep the big picture in tow. And I'm going to show people when that happens, you don't get upset because you know that based on the probabilities and everything else, you might have took a blow to the head, but you can work out of it. And I call this how to turn lemons into lemonades. And the Grim Reaper, I've talked about this for years, Chuck. You know this about how it always happens when you're sleeping. Okay? Well, last night I got long gold, and along with other people, I was telling people to buy gold. I'm on about a 5 day run with this gold, making a lot of money. But last night, when I went to bed, I said to myself, "You got two choices. You can exit at midnight, bedtime." I got a message from somebody that said, "Yeah, that's probably what you want to do." And that's in the video of Futures First, exit at midnight when you do what I did last night. But I didn't do it. I just stayed long. Well, I woke up this morning at my normal time, about 5 o'clock, and gold had fell out of bed. I said, "Oh God, here I go." And so I went through the full analysis of gold. Again, having that gut shot, I said, "Well, how can I make money and what can I do?" So I started looking at it, and I had some choices. I could exit the trade and just take a loss whenever you're totally unsure what to do. Well, I'm not unsure what I wanted to do. I'm just at a pause in what I do want to do. And so I said, what's step one? I'm not going to get out of it. I'm just going to work it a little bit. So the very first thing with that big news, I'm thinking I've got to spread the trade to buy myself time to figure out how to minimize the loss or actually make money. And then I will leg out of it when gold starts to head higher again. Because the way gold moves, it goes to this high like it did last night, 45.09, falls out of bed like it did, and most people get out. I don't. With gold's a special situation. You've heard me say that phrase, "Patience will pay." And so I froze the account basically by selling the spread above my long calls. And I said, that will stabilize the loss until I get a chance to look at it. And I haven't looked at it since I spread it this morning. I told people in TNT and in Futures First, I'd tell you when I did it. And I posted a trade in there. Hey, I'm spreading the trade. And I caught the high of the move up off the lows. So I felt pretty good about that and said, now I've got that sort of the bleeding, put a tourniquet on it and stopped it. And so if you look at the background on gold, I asked myself, is it above the month open? Is it bullish? Well, absolutely, it's above the month open. It opened at what, 41.35, we said? Heck, we're up here, we're having a heck of a month. Is it above the week open? That was something I checked on my MTI, and we opened this week at 4,400. So we're still up for the week, okay? So I said, okay, that passes that test. Was it above the daily open when I went long? Yes, it was. The trend was higher, so that's what got me in. So what's next? Okay, I've got a market that's going higher, I believe. So I look back at the last 5 days. And when I look back at the last 5 days, a real quick and dirty said 44.19 was the 5 day low. I said, okay, 44.19, that's something I gotta watch. 44.19. Then I went to a compass chart and it had 44.15 on my span. Put it out there. I said, well, that should be real good support. 44.15, 44.20. Then I looked at the day's trade and I said, well, what's the midpoint? In other words, how high we went, how low we went. At the time, the midpoint was 44.64, and the current midpoint is 44.59. So my midpoint's 44.59, which tells me I probably, more than likely, am not set up to trade out of the thing, so I'll stay another day. And but that didn't stop me once I got that done. I quit worrying about it, so I'll come back to it and deal with it tomorrow, okay? And that's the idea, is to come back and deal with it when you got the uptrend in place. And I know how to tell when I got the uptrend, right? RBs are positive and all that. But one of the encouraging things this morning when I woke up was RB2 was positive, which I said, okay, because if it had been at the lows, I'd probably went on and spreaded it then. But instead, I waited and got a real perfect time to spread it this morning. Then, uh, the warning signs, okay? Well, when did it break RB1? Well, it broke RB1 about midnight. When I have in my training in the Futures First, get out if it breaks RB1 on midnight. And I had several people that watched that video and got out of the trade. And that's where it broke. And that was the first warning sign when it broke RB1 at midnight. Of course, most people are not up at midnight. I get that, right? So you sort of, if you're in bed like a good person, um, you're behind the 8 ball as you go to sleep, right? Sleep got pretty expensive. But the real sleep came at 1:30 in the morning, and that's when you had a defining break bar breaking down, and that was I think 28 to I'm gonna say 28 to 50 area. That bar was. He doesn't have that there, but that was the warning bar. Okay, that's the bar you got to get higher than today to even consider it, the break bar. Then you come down, you make a low, you come back up, you top out on the break bar's midpoint roughly, about 48. I think it's 48.50 area. You top out there, and then the market goes to RB3, which is, remember, RB2 was positive. That little rally there, you can see it held me in there right to the report almost. Then RB3 happens. Well, RB3 was okay. It's in sync. And then you had the washout move. Always happens. But I'm spread. I didn't even notice it. We went down, I think, to 44.15. And now, if you look at gold right now, it's 44.28. It's working its way back up. Not up enough to do anything, but it's come off those lows. So that's the analysis of gold. Any questions about this analysis? How you do it? First, you freeze your account by spreading it. That reduces the risk of the trade. Okay, and that's what I did. Took money off the table. Worst case, I'll lose less as if I'd have stayed long the full option. Okay. Anyway, that's the story. So we're waiting, and I'll come back. I don't run and hide from it. It's one of the next 10,000. What I do is say, okay, let me make money on this, and that's exactly what I'm doing: studying it, watching it, and we'll make money on this trade more times than not by being patient and not emotional. Follow the numbers. I looked at MTI and you could see how it broke and how it's coming, back up. It's not ready yet, but that's on the 30-minute right there. A great gauge to tell you when it's time to pay attention. And I got enough time. I had 15 days to options expiration. I'm just giving up 1/15th of it today. All right. Now, I have two more choices to deal with on a gold air pocket. Okay. Let's say that we do eventually go above the midpoint of the week, midpoint of the day, and all that. I think gold's going higher. What are my choices? Number one, I can turn it into a buzz fly and still reduce risk and let the if the trend continues down. That's the choice I got. Another spread, a more favorable one, was for gold to take out last night's high, which was 45.09, and I would go on if I was still in this position and pick up some positive delta by selling a put spread on it. So I got all kinds of choices left in my arsenal to deal with this. Again, it's all about the numbers. Okay? That's exactly what I'll do. So here's the key numbers I wanted to give you. You might look at these. 45.09 was last night's high. The opening price was 44.68. Midpoint of today's trading now is 44.64. If you look at the current one, it's down at 44.58. Okay. Uh, Week opens down there at 4,400. 3-day highs 44.28. See, we're right at support for what's happening right here. Okay. And then let's see. The month opens down there at 40. What is that? 40. 135, is it? Yeah. And then the 3-day low is 40.74. Far from that. So gold is bullish. And so why don't you buy it at the dip? I don't have to. I got the reference bars and I can time it. That's when I take action when things turn favorable. In gold, it will turn feasible. A reminder action, always remember exactly what I did. I had positive delta coming into the Grim Reaper. What did I do? Went and picked up negative delta. If you go look at the negative delta that I sold the spread at, I'm up pretty good on that, but I don't care because all that's there is offset. In the simple strategies I teach, buying stock, positive delta, buying calls, call spreads, positive delta, selling puts, positive delta. Negative delta, selling stock, buying puts, or selling calls. So I got a lot of options available knowing these 6 actions, 3 of which give you positive delta and 3 that give you negative delta. Is this sort of giving you an overview of what happens if you have a trade? Always look at the numbers. Take the emotion, set it aside. Everybody has, and I hadn't, but set it aside and think. They can't beat you if you keep thinking the way I think about it. Yeah, I'm not talking about GLD. I'm talking about gold futures, David. Gold futures first before I get to GLD. All right. Any questions about what I just covered? If you're in that gold trade, keep the spread on. I'll post in there when I get out of it. If you're if you're not in it, you just said the heck with it or didn't make the trade, good for you. And you got out of it. Don't do any of this. The number one lesson in trading, always have a backup plan when you do something. That's how I've survived 40 years, right? I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it. Sometimes trades just don't work out. Now, single stock futures will be an ideal hedge way during overnight trading when the Grim Reaper shows up. Okay? Always keep that in mind. That's the power of the single stock futures. Again, we got the class. Jonathan, don't we have the class starting at 12:30, our second edition of the class today?
Yes, we do.
Well, that's good. Why don't we go to a live market and just analyze this market since we did get above 78.20. Let's start with the SPY. On the live market. Okay. What's the fastest way to pick up positive or negative delta? Anybody know? And the most liquid market to do it in? Most solid way to pick it up if it's going down is do a 10 wide spread on the SPY. Negative. That gives you negative delta. If it's going up, like this morning, and we hit the benchmark of 78.20 and went higher, the most positive way to pick up positive delta is with the SPY. Well, you're looking at stocks that are participating and not participating. The first action is always go to the SPY spread. Write that down, folks. That took me a lot of years to learn that. This morning, I did a SPY spread. And John, we did a SPY spread inside TNT, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. So I put it on September 18th expiration, I think, and the idea was to have it in the account while I pick out what stocks are going to participate and not. All right, that's the first thing, right? Everybody say you understand when you see a break of a major number. It's going to happen again, so you got to remember this. Put a thing on your computer because I'll give you the number. I gave you the number, 78.20. Now it went to 78.38. You would have made some good money if you took a profit on it. I decided not to because I'm going for a bigger picture play. Okay. But I will tell you, you could have. It was great money on that spread. I think at one time that spread was up close to 70, 80 cents. But I'm still in it. I'm just telling you, it was a heck of a trade. Okay. Now, the next thing you want to look at, what is leading the pack higher? I believe, maybe because I follow it, NVIDIA. Look at NVIDIA. Put NVIDIA in there. Let's analyze NVIDIA. What was the high and low of RB3?
227 quarter was the high. 224.13 was the low.
So if you got in at 225.55, it went to 227 quarter. How high did it eventually get to?
Yeah, 227 quarter.
So it didn't go higher than RB3?
No, it did not.
Okay. So you ought to write that down, folks. 227.20. That's the number on NVIDIA. It will go higher than that at some point if this rally is as good as I think it's going to be, right? So you got to keep that number down. Now, but how can you take advantage? What's a way that I've taught you a way to take advantage of NVIDIA when it breaks out like it did this morning above 225.55? You could have day traded it, right? But what's an easy way to take advantage of an upward moving NVIDIA? Have you ever heard the word Cadillac? So what I'm looking for on NVIDIA is a positive reference bar, and then I will go do a Cadillac trade on NVIDIA today. And I'll create a credit bullish spread on NVIDIA. Would I use 220? No. Would I use 210? No. I will probably use a strike somewhere below 200 on a Cadillac trade of NVIDIA. That's how I do it. A Cadillac trade. Okay, that's NVIDIA. Okay. Now let's look at crude oil. Put a daily up there, Jonathan.
Okay, this is the daily chart of crude oil.
A question, do we make a new low today on the daily?
We did.
Okay. And then what was the high of the day that we made the low? What was the high of the day?
So we made a new low under yesterday, and the high of yesterday's market was 84.35.
Okay. And what was the high of the day?
The high of today is 83.30.
All right. So we're making lower highs as crude comes down. Is lower crude prices in general, I'll say in general, bullish for the equity market? Yes or no? So everything's starting to come together, isn't it? You had your inflation numbers come out, they were good economically. So the market is sending a message to you, hey, this market is getting some steam to go higher. Okay. And we got a number on crude now, high of the week, 84. You said I'd call it 84.55. As long as we're below that, crude's rolling over. Okay. Now let's look at USO. And this is the one you want to, if you want to do a put spread, I'll tell you what number is going to trigger it, okay? This would be like power on Thursday, okay? What's the daily low of this week on crude? USO, excuse me.
You want the low of the week?
Yep.
Happened on Monday down at 122.06.
All right. And USO right now is at what price?
I got it at 126.07.
Yeah. So remember that number. You said 122, right?
Yeah, I call it 122 even, make it easier.
Yeah. So if it broke, say 121.40, I'd do a put spread on it. So I'll set an alert and I'm going to ask Jonathan to do the same thing to let me know if it breaks 121.40. I'll do a put spread on USO if it breaks. Why? Crude's rolling over. That stock's going to fall if it breaks that number. But I don't need to guess about it. I know the number by looking at what the market's told me the low of the week is. So remember that number even going into next week as we build in the next week. Okay? That's crude. Now let's talk about bonds. How many people have heard me talk about my utility trade? 25 years we've done this trade. 25 years. How many people like the thought of not paying for the utilities by using a technique I've used for 25 years? How many people like that idea? You know, last week we got free utilities. Trade worked. But what we're going to do is next Monday, next Monday, next Monday in Futures Plus, I'm going to teach the parameters and ifs, ands, and buts about it in Futures Plus next Monday, Jonathan, the utility trade. Okay? I'm doing it every week now, so y'all might as well have free utilities too. But you got to learn it. We can't just pay for your utilities without you paying for the knowledge, right? Okay, so you got to be there in Futures First next week, next Monday. Free utilities for all those people that want and like the idea. It works, folks. It works. Took a lot of years to build. It's proprietary. things about it, outline it, and give it to people in my Futures First next Monday night at 8. Don't miss that session. Or if you're a member of Futures Plus, definitely, okay, watch the recording if you can't be there. Okay, all right, so let's go back to the E-mini today, E-mini, and let's draw a line at 78.20. And what's the midpoint of the day, Jonathan, the midpoint?
That's at 78.01.
78.01 is the midpoint?
78.01 is the midpoint of today.
Yeah. And so this uptrend that we saw this morning, in my estimation, is still intact as long as we stay, I'd say you got to give it a little English. I'd say above 70, 77.95, above that range there to the current price. But what's going to tell us or help us navigate this for the rest of the afternoon? The Genesis bar. And right now, if you look at it, we're about midway back of RB3. Now, what's the low of RB3?
77.85.
Okay. So here's what's going to happen. The market's going to slop around. As long as it stays above that 77.85, then this afternoon, it will put the focus on RB4, which happens from 132. We get higher on RB4, buyers will step back in. That's what you got to wait on. So right now, hands in pocket as we wait to that RB4. Folks, I've tried to do things here in Train and Trade today that I don't get I don't get a big chance to do, but I hope it's a good review. I hope it's one that you stay by the numbers, and I hope you got something out of it. Give me some feedback. I don't, every day I don't have a chance to show you the inside things that go in your mind. And you got to meet, if you're in the goal with me, you got to meet the Grim Reaper. If you never met him before, you got to meet him. He's a nasty character. Any questions? Well, Jonathan, let's get ready for our stock futures. Why don't you play the tape? Last minute, people, get into it. We won't disappoint. It's 7:49. If you're a gold medallion, you get a big discount of 50% off. I did that to say thank you for being a gold, and so you're getting 50% off. It's a futures related, and I think you'll learn it. Joe, who has been in the hospital, is out and about now, says no matter how many times I go over a topic, repeating sessions as I do is extremely helpful. That's why I do it, because let me tell you, that Grim Reaper is a nasty character. But generally speaking, I'll show you how to kill a Grim Reaper if you stay with me. So that's it. Take it away.